Now, staying in South Africa, the Reserve Bank has kept the repo rate unchanged, but it did warn that it may not be for much longer. Now, the bank says August inflation was slightly lower than expected. However, the outlook has deteriorated. Inflation is expected to rise on the back of increasing fuel prices. Now, consumers have been urged to clear their debt and start saving, as Sumitra Nydoo reports.
South African consumers are being hit from all sides. In April, the VAT rate was hiked to 15%. There's been several petrol price hikes, with another big one expected in October. Utility costs have also gone up, mostly on power.
South African consumers are definitely feeling the pinch. Our economy is about still 60% dependent on consumption expenditure. And therefore, if the consumer is not in a good position, the whole economy and all of our businesses actually feel it.
Despite the tough economic times, credit extension to consumers was up by 4% on a year-on-year basis in March this year. There are now just over 25 million people with credit lines. But household expenditure is declining, which means that South Africans have less disposable income.
When we talk credit, a lot of consumers have about 5 credit agreements. And if you look at the impact on their budgets in terms of all these increases, they are definitely going to struggle because we have not seen a corresponding increase in household income.
Although consumers are still spending, they're spending on smaller items, less expensive things. So although there's still credit extension happening, the way in which they're behaving, the type of items that they buy, etc., is changing and is maybe becoming smaller and less expensive.
Credit extension has grown, and 38% of heavily indebted consumers already have impaired records. Debt levels are likely to rise in this poor economic environment as consumers borrow to get by.
More than half of those consumers, or the consumers in South Africa, are at a level where they're vulnerable or exposed financially. So if something like the fuel price increase happens, it could very, very easily hit them hard because they don't have savings and that backup.
Obviously, it means all consumers need to now tighten their belts. You need to adjust your spending habits. You need to adjust your lifestyle and look at the luxuries, things that are not necessary for you to survive, that you can reduce or stop.
The next MPC meeting is in November and could spell more gloom for consumers if rates are hiked. Sumitra Nydoo, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.